All right. So next, getting on to baseball. The World Series is going on right now. Let's go fucking Braves.
Yeah, agreed. Let's go Braves. Braves are up 2-1. Fuck the Houston Astros and their trash can banging, cheating bitch asses. I do not like the Astros. I'm not a huge fan of the Braves either, but I'm definitely pulling for the Braves in this. They're currently up 2-1. Like I said, they are at home. They have 2 more games at home. Potential to close out at home if they can make some good shit happen. They played a great game last night. They no-hit the Astros through 7 2/3. That's hard to do in a World Series. And this is a kid who is, I don't know, like 25, 26 years old, and Ian Anderson, who went out there and fucking just dealed last night.
Who was the pitcher the other night that pitched with a broken leg?
Oh, that was Morton. I want to say is who that was. I think it was Morton.
All right. So I just wanted to call that out. That's pretty fucking impressive. Go out there, pitch with a broken leg, and he ended up striking guys out, I believe, before. And he's an older dude as well.
Charlie Morton has been around the league for quite some time. So it is not like he is, going to bounce back very quickly. He's on a broken leg. That he took a fucking line drive off the shin, ended up breaking his leg, then pitched a little bit longer, then had to finally go out. They ended up winning that game that Charlie Morton pitched. So, yeah, the Braves are a better story. Unless you're Rob Manfred, who doesn't want to talk about the Tomahawk Chop and says that the Braves name is totally fine, even though people are now calling for that. The same way it happened when the Indians went to the World Series. They started calling for the name, stop doing the chop. So once you get on that big stage, people start looking at the things that maybe your team is doing and say, let's not do that anymore.
Look, I want to be sensitive of everybody's, backgrounds and cultures and histories and stuff like that. But to be completely honest, like the Braves, it is like an endearing term for Native Americans.
I think so, but I'm also not a Native
That's
American.
the problem is that we're white.
Yeah, we're super white.
I'm from the Caucasus. Yeah. I'm Caucasian. So it's tough to really talk about it. But look, we're removing Native American things out of baseball right now. Obviously, the Indians like Chief Wahoo. Yeah, I can absolutely see how that's offensive and stuff like that.
Get that.
Even saying the name Indians, I can understand how that can be a derogatory term.
Yeah.
All right. But it's almost like they are trying to ethnically cleanse other nationalities out of baseball. To an extent. Like, I don't know. I try to put myself in the shoes of a Native American and think about how I'd feel. And normally I just don't really give a shit if people are like, if people were to come to me saying that I'm some big dumbass Scandinavian motherfucker, I'd be like, yeah,
cool. I am. I'm 100%.
Suck my dick. I'm going to rape and pillage your town, you little bitch, and take your women. All right. Oh, well, I don't really care. But I mean, like there was reports of people not being happy from the Native American community when the Cleveland Indians were changing their name. There's been reports of that with other sports teams that have had to do name changes because some of them aren't necessarily derogatory unless you are hunting for them to be derogatory. Look, it's tough for us to talk about this. It's obviously a subject that you have to kind of tiptoe around because, again, we're not people being directly affected by this. Right. So it's tough to actually say how you would really feel about it. So it's just kind of my overall 2 cents on it. But if they end up doing a name change and stuff like that, it's like I'm not going to be super upset or anything because it doesn't really matter to me that much. But as far as who I'm going for in the World Series, it's the Braves.
Yeah, me too. 100%.
I'm a little bit more passive on baseball, which I've said. Twins are my team because I'm from Minnesota.
Right.
I have liked the Nationals actually since they came into baseball, but that was because one of my favorite players ended up going to play for them, Denard Span.
Like a lesser known Span. I don't hear many fans of Denard Span.
Yeah, so I've had a weird baseball path where I'll like latch onto certain players that I really like, and they tend to be from the Twins. So I like Dustin Moore, outfielder for the Twins, and then San Francisco and other places. Obviously, he got around a little bit.
I'm surprised you're not like a Morneau fan. Like that seems like your guy.
Oh, I definitely love Justin Morneau. I've met him. It was really crazy. So my hometown, that like when I moved there, when I was like 3, had a grocery store and a gas station. And now it is one of the most booming metropolitan areas around the Twin Cities because it's right where two main highways or interstates meet.
Right.
And it is very upscale, highfalutin now. And so a lot of athletes and stuff for those Minnesota sports teams have actually moved to that area. So John Randall lives like less than a mile from where I grew up. Got to see him all the time. You know, one of the greatest defensive linemen for
Probably
the Vikings.
the greatest pass rushing defensive. He was a defensive tackle, or was he a D end?
Defensive tackle, but the guy. I mean, he's 6 foot. You know, like he was tiny. They never thought he was going to play. That's why he went undrafted, and then obviously.
Yeah. So I was gonna say he was one of the greatest pass rushing interior linemen of all time.
Yeah, and a crazy motherfucker, and that's what I loved about him was his energy. All right, but there's a lot of those professional sports players that have moved. They have like apartments and stuff in my hometown now, or homes. So Justin Morneau was definitely around there a lot. A lot of the pitchers from back when I was living there, that era of Minnesota Twins, are living in that town. I'm trying to think of some of the other guys that it's shit. I'm blanking on names from that era that I remember seeing around at restaurants and stuff there. But either way, Dustin Morneau, I really enjoyed Dustin Morneau. Obviously, he's not one of those big name players, Dustin Moore. Justin Moore. Yeah. Justin Morneau. Justin Moore. Yeah. One of the big, or not a big name player in baseball, but I like latching on to the underdog a lot of times. All right. And then Denard Span. I loved Denard Span. I had a Let's Get Denarded baseball shirt back in the day. Before he ended up going to the Nationals, which I started to pay attention to the Nationals a little bit more. And then obviously, they've got some pretty good players that have been in and around that organization. So that's cool. But growing up, one of the players I latched on to, really when I started paying attention to baseball in the first place, was one of those bigger name players in Chipper Jones.
I was going to say, you're got to be talking about Chipper because I remember hating the Braves. I watched the Braves beat the Indians in the World Series. I was like, these guys suck. But one of those guys absolutely stands out as like, this guy is awesome to watch, and it's fucking Chipper Jones.
Yeah.
One of the greatest to ever do it, third baseman, switch hitter, could play left field. Guy could do it all. It stole bases, and he really wasn't that fast. Most third basemen are not very fucking fast. He was so fun to watch. I still play MLB The Show, even though baseball season's starting to wind down. Chipper Jones was like the guy to earn this year in MLB The Show. He's badass. Always has been.
I think they should just re-sign him for the World Series. Get him out there.
I mean, he's already won one. Like, good for him. Sad they beat the Indians, who actually may be the Indians for a little bit longer.
Oh, yeah?
I'm
not tracking this.
The Cleveland Guardians roller derby team has filed a lawsuit against the Cleveland Guardians baseball team for copyright infringement. The Cleveland Guardians baseball team decided that they were going to file for their trademark in a small West African island nation so nobody could fucking find it.
That sounds a little slippery.
Yeah, that sounds shady as fuck.
That sounds like we're talking about some stuff that you would absolutely see on the movie Major League.
Yeah. Because they thought that they could just basically steal the name from the Cleveland Guardians roller derby team, who hasn't been operating for 2 years, but they still own the rights. So now they are suing, and there's a potential that they could win considering the shadiness of this deal. And this only happens if your owners are really smart and cheap-ass fucking lawyers, which is exactly what the Dolans are.
This just bringing up Major League for a second. Obviously, we've got Joe Boo up here. I'm wondering, how do we get a fat head or a cutout of a naked Cleveland Indians owner Rachel Phelps on the wall where we can pull off little pieces as we go through shows?
That would be good.
I mean, obviously we can't show nudity, but we could get like a fat head of one of us or something with someone we know. And just as we do episodes, slowly pull off a little piece.
So we'll
get Tom Berenger in here as a special guest to help us out.
There we go. We should definitely find a way to get something like that. Yeah. So Indians are possibly not going to be the Guardians. They're still the Indians for now because the league year hasn't ended. Braves are up 2-1 in the World Series. I hope they can fucking close this out. I hate the Astros. And every time I see Jose Altuve hit a home run, inside of Minute Maid Park. I assume he fucking cheated. Like that's not gonna go away. Yeah, you got anything else on the World Series stuff?
No, sir.
All
Braves 2-1 right now, and I'm hoping to see them get the win. I know that we got at least one person that has tuned into the show from our local work region who is actually an Astros fan. Sorry, bud, we're going for the Braves on this one.
Yeah. So sorry that I can't support your team. Also, I got a lot of buddies who I played football with in college. They're from the Houston region. They love the Astros. Those guys can eat my asshole. I'm not rooting for the Astros ever.